This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.
Welcome to the award-winning Rich in Life podcast. We're the podcast that dives deep into the true meaning of wealth. We're going beyond money. We're going into mindset, purpose, and the choices that shape our success. In each episode, we're going to bring you inspiring stories, expert insights, and the real conversation to help you build a life that's rich in every way. So get ready to elevate your thinking, embrace new possibilities, and unlock the wealth that truly matters. So sit back, tune in, and let's learn how to be rich in life.
I have a feeling this episode is going to hit home with so many of you. You open your social media app for 2 minutes. You're in line somewhere at the grocery store. You just woke up. You're taking a mental break. You're at a stoplight. You're stuck in traffic, and you just start scrolling. And here's what you see. Someone just launched something incredible. Someone is on a beach on vacation on a Wednesday. Someone's business hit 7 figures. Someone just got engaged. Someone looks like they have it completely all figured out. And now you're closing the app because you took your little break, and now you're feeling worse. You're feeling smaller, like you should be further along, like everyone else got some manual for life that you didn't. You opened the app looking for inspiration, and you came out feeling behind. That right there is the comparison hangover. And today we're going to talk about what it's actually doing to your ambition and how to get out from underneath of it. Welcome to Rich in Life. I'm Danielle Rizzo, and let's get into it. Let's start with the brain, because you know I love the psychology and how the brain works and that there's a reason behind everything, right? But there's also a way to fix it. The brain is actually super fascinating, and it reframes this entire conversation. When you see someone achieving something that you want, your brain does something interesting. It releases a small amount of dopamine, the same neurotransmitter involved in motivation and reward. So for a brief moment, you feel a spark. I want that feeling, right? And that spark feels like motivation, like I can do that. I want to do that. But then almost immediately, a different system kicks in. Social comparison activates regions of the brain associated with status and threat assessment. Your brain starts to doing the math. Where am I relative to them? And if the answer is behind, which on social media it almost always is because it's the highlight reel, your brain now registers that as a threat. Your cortisol goes up, you feel anxious, deflated, defeated, and stuck. And this is why the scroll feels like it should be inspiring, but it lands actually as demoralizing. And you get that dopamine hit and then that crash almost simultaneously, right? It's a hangover in real time with no alcohol. A study that was published in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology found that even limiting social media to 30 minutes a day significantly reduced loneliness, depression, and FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. People felt better about their own progress when they stopped measuring it against a curated highlight reel. And this isn't rocket science, right? Like we all know that social media doesn't do great things for us. It constantly makes us feel like we are in competition. It constantly makes us feel like we are not enough. We're constantly just living someone else's life based off of their highlight reel. The research doesn't say social media is inherently bad. It says comparison is the problem. And the scroll doesn't have to trigger comparison, but for most of us it does, almost automatically, without question. So here's the thing that you need to ask yourself. Can you change what happens in your brain when you're scrolling? I want to introduce a distinction that has genuinely changed how I use social media and how I coach clients to use it as well. There are 2 types of scrolling, aspirational and comparative. They can look identical from the outside, the same content, the same account, the same post, but internally they're completely different. Here's what the difference is. Aspirational scrolling sounds like this. Wow, that's possible. I want to build that. What can I learn from this? It expands your sense of what is available to you. And comparative scrolling sounds like this. They already did that. Why haven't I done it? What's wrong with me? Why didn't I think of that? Well, now I'm behind. It contracts your sense of what's possible. The content didn't change. Your internal framing did, right? And the switch between the two often happens so fast that you don't even catch it. We might start off by being like, wow, that's so cool. I want to do that. Like maybe let's use a vacation for an example. Wow, that place is so beautiful. I want to go there. It's exactly the type of place I want to go to. But then the comparative scrolling comes in. It's like, well, how am I going to get the money? Who am I to go to a place like that? I need to work on my bikini body. What am I going to do with the kids? How am I going to take off work? Well, how does that person take off work? We immediately go from aspirational to comparative. Here's a practical test. After you consume a piece of content, a post, a story, a video, ask yourself a question. Do I feel expanded or contracted right now? If you feel expanded, which means you're curious and you're energized and you're motivated, that was aspirational. If you feel contracted, like you're small, behind, deflated, that was comparative. And we need to really keep an eye on the contracted ones. Those are the ones that we need to watch. One of the most damaging things about social media, and look, we know that there's a lot of negative things about social media. And it isn't just that people share their best moments. It's that there's no timestamp on the struggle, right? You're watching someone's polished launch. You're watching their beautiful home, their thriving business, their confident presence, and your brain registers all of that as their current reality. But what you're not seeing is the 5 years of figuring it out. You're not seeing all the pivots. You're not seeing the failed launches. You're not seeing the debt they went into. The hard seasons that happened before the things that look effortless now. And trust me, like I have had to have these conversations as well of like, oh my gosh, look, like they just did this amazing thing. But what happened before the amazing thing? What happened to all the grit and the grind and maybe the debt and the struggle and the burnout that they had to do and experience before they got here? So you're comparing your behind the scenes, the messy middle, the doubt, the in progress version of yourself that you're going through and feeling right now to someone else's highlight reel from their 7-year journey. And that comparison will make you feel behind because it's not true. It's not accurate. You're comparing your first inning or your third inning to their 9th inning. But no one shows the behind the scenes. There's a quote that I love from author James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits. And if you haven't read it, you should. He talks about how we often overestimate what others have achieved and underestimate our own progress because we have access to all of our own failures and almost none of their failures. Does that make sense? Your failures are front and center in your mind, and theirs are invisible. You're comparing incomparable things. And I want that to really sit with you. You're comparing incomparable things because you know all of your failures and all the things that you've been through. It's really easy to focus on the negative, and all we are seeing is the highlight reel of someone else, and we have absolutely no clue what it took for them to get there, right? So here's your exercise for this. I want you to do a scroll audit this week. And here's how to do it, right? Go through the accounts that you follow and put them in one of 3 categories. Expanders, accounts that consistently leave you feeling inspired, informed, and energized. Neutrals, accounts that are fine, neither here nor there. Contractors, accounts that constantly make you feel behind, inadequate, or deflated. Some accounts you might really like the person, but still walk away feeling worse every time. And that will still go in the contractor column. That might be a best friend. That might be a family member. Really like them as a person, but their content just maybe needs to be muted, right? Your feed is not a social obligation here, right? You don't owe anyone your attention. I want you to unfollow or mute the contractors. There's a coach that I look up to, a multi-7-figure business owner, and she actually blocks her competition on social media. Now, she totally believes that there is space for everyone to do the same thing in this world, that, everyone can be good at the same thing. But she blocks her competition because she doesn't want to have this exact feeling. So unfollow or mute the contractors on your list, or at a minimum, put them behind a deliberate tap so you're not seeing them passively. This is going to protect your mental real estate. I want you to set an intention before you open your social media app, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you look at. Set an intention. It sounds small, but it's powerful. Before you open any social media platform, spend 3 seconds asking, what am I going in here right now for? If it's boredom or avoidance, put the phone down. Just put the phone down. Go for a walk. If your answer is why you're opening the app is because it's boredom. If the answer is connection or learning, go in with that mindset, but you have to stay in that mindset. Stay in it that you're going to learn from something. Whenever you catch yourself in comparative scrolling, the contracted feeling kicks in. Close the app and open your notes. Write one thing that you're working towards right now. Just one. It immediately pulls your focus from that person's progress to yours. That redirection, when it's done consistently, is a game changer, right? Repetition, repetition, repetition. So as soon as that contracted feeling kicks in, where you're starting to feel like you're not enough, or that you're jealous, or that, you're comparing, write a note of one thing that you're working towards right now. The comparison hangover is actually a choice. It's not always a conscious one, but it's a trainable one. You can learn to consume content without letting it become a measuring stick. You can use other people's success as proof of what's possible, absolutely, rather than evidence of your own inadequacy. You have to train your brain to look at it differently. Instead of your brain thinking, oh, woe is me, why can't I have that? What did I do wrong? What am I not doing right? Why aren't I there? You train your brain that, like, hey, they did it, I can do it too. They're not special. It requires you to be rooted in your own story, your own timeline, your own definition of what a rich life looks like, which, by the way, is the whole reason why you're listening to this podcast, right? Because being rich in life means you've stopped measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel, and you started building a life that actually belongs to you. The scroll is always going to be there. Social media isn't going anywhere. The question is whether you're going to let it run your ambition or whether you're going to run your ambition.